Hey, go ahead, get your light.
Well, how I was gonna ask, how do you think I look? Do I think I need it or no?
It's usually the way that it would be nice,
Okay.
because if you have it available, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it'd be
do.
nice to see
I mean,
face better.
it should be in my room somewhere. Yeah, I don't
Well,
know
we
why.
usually do we usually do a whole introduction, Lisa and I. So you have just a minute but hello,
Okay.
Shareef. How
Hey
are you
guys.
doing? Yeah.
Good, good. Okay, let me go look for it. Hang on a second.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Knit the Revolution. It's been an interesting day today. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. Shareef will be back in just a couple of minutes. Let's see. Well, I want to make sure that I've got a strange kind of echo that's going on, I think. Well, maybe I just need to speak kind of slowly and not excite my mic very much, because we're not fancy with official microphones here or anything yet. Yeah, so I think we're at episode 6, aren't we, Lisa?
6 what?
I think this is the 6th
This is
episode
episode 6.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So,
There. Now I'm not looking at the reflection.
so yeah, it's got like a funny echo. Um, yeah, I want to make sure that people are aware that we're doing our first. The Red Berets are organizing our first national. I'm originally we called it a knit-in, but just to be clear, it's a national art and craft in. Uh, you do not need to know how to knit or crochet. You could know how to knit or crochet or sew, be amazingly proficient at it. You could be somebody who has always wanted to learn. We're not really going to be doing any in-depth tutorials during the 3 hours, which begins. It's on Friday the 10th, and we have a Mobilize link. So if you want to find the Mobilize link, you go to mobilize.us and look up Red Berets Medicare for All, and I think you'll find the event. It's it's actually an in-person event in New York, in Queens. I couldn't tell you the exact location, but there is a location you can show up to. You can also get a small group of friends, uh, organizers, artists. Something that Sakura pointed out in, one of the platforms that we were on, is he said, you know, everybody is creative. Whether you think of yourself as an artist, everybody is a crafter who is in this movement. And whether you're new to organizing, whether you feel nervous about organizing, if you've ever made a sign or that says we need healthcare, or you're willing to make a sign and just kind of have fun with it, that's creativity. That's craftivism. So while I do hope that we have a bunch of crafters, or people like, Scott Denoyer made that beautiful pen and ink drawing. And, we've had people that have done tons of memes and GIFs, or GIFs, however you say that. There's literally tons and tons of ways of being creative. Yeah, you could paint. There's all kinds of mediums, and we're really not here to limit what your artistic leanings or what you want to explore. And actually, we're really open to all kinds of ideas. If people have ideas about, hey, we could do this really fun thing with the Red Berets, but it's not a fiber art. Please, bring those ideas. We're not trying to leave anybody out here, even people who, again, I would push back a little if people say that, oh, I'm not really the creative type, because I think we've all said that at some point in our lives. We have a narrative that we tend to tell ourselves that, oh, I'm not creative, I'm not an artist or whatever. And I think by nature, we are all creative. And I get it if it's like you've kind of given it your thing and it's not, you don't really feel like an artistic person. But just remember, we're building healthcare justice community. So even if you really know, I know for sure I am not, I'm really not an artistic person, come and share the space. Hopefully be inspired, share your healthcare story. Give us some updates for maybe what's happening in your own location. It's not a stipulation that you have to be an artist or a crafter to come. We welcome everybody. And that again is on Friday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday the 10th. So, and you can find us on mobilize.us. All right.
And there's some of the state accounts that also have it as their pinned tweet. I believe
Wonderful.
that, although I'm not absolutely positive, but Louis the Cellist, I'm sure, is because it was his baby, it was his idea. Yep. I can look and see if it's his pinned tweet, but we can tweet it out right after this too. And Fran just shared the link in here on YouTube, but YouTube links aren't live, so you'd have to copy and paste.
Right.
But we'll be pushing it this week, so don't worry about that. And please come.
Yeah. And again, I think really, I think it's pretty, although I should test this out for myself, but I think even if you didn't have the link, if you go to mobilize.us, and I think you can search Red Berets Medicare for All, at least give that a try. And I think that Louis said that would work. But yeah, I really would say that the best place to be in touch and be part of our community is through Twitter. You don't have to really know what you're doing. You don't have to, if tweeting scares you, just make an account. And it is kind of how we're connecting up the community. We have a presence on Facebook, but I'll be really honest, like we're not doing a lot of organizing there. I have found, and I certainly think that Lisa agrees with me, Twitter is definitely not perfect, but it is a place where we can kind of help shape the national narrative in terms of it being like an effective platform. As far as like organizing like local events, it's not really the best tool, but we're trying to kind of connect up all over the states. And so what Lisa was saying is that we've people have started their own like little individual accounts. I don't mean little, so, we have at NY Red Berets, New York Red Berets. And Lisa, yours is Red Berets Penn, PENN, right? For Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. So, if you follow me on my personal account or on our more official account, I think it's Red Berets M4A, which is very similar to my personal account. I'm trying to kind of constantly retweet everybody who's developed these city and state chapters. We just want to give people a locale. It gives people the understanding, there's a presence in California or in Florida. Yes. And again, you don't need to be a crafter to gravitate towards this. You can be an organizer or somebody who wants to get out and stand on the street corner or go like we did in Washington State recently. And we're going to ask Shareef about this because he went up to Yonkers, but going out and pasting up wanted posters. There's Shareef. Hi.
There you go.
Hey guys. I didn't find my light stand, but I think we should be fine.
I think it's good. Yeah, we can see you. So
One
how
more
are you?
thing.
We sorry?
Go ahead, Lisa. Sorry.
I just wanted to say one more thing is the biggest part about this is all you have to be is someone who supports universal single payer, Medicare for all, state initiatives, whatever it is, because this is what we're advocating for, getting people health care. So please don't be afraid to come. We would love to have everybody there.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And how you doing, buddy?
Good. How you guys doing?
Hang in there.
Yeah.
Wearing this awesome right here that Fran made. Thank you, Fran.
Aww. Is it black?
It's not really black. It has some red in it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, she did a good job.
It's a beautiful shape.
Yeah, it is a neat shape. It kind of does look a little bit sort of like the not paperboy caps, whatever they're called. It looks a little bit like sort of cap like.
Yeah, it does like cap like, and I think I like yours too, Laura. It looks very dope.
Yeah, thank you. This is I'm borrowing for my son. I made it for. Well, I actually didn't make it specifically for Graham, but he said, you haven't knit me anything in a long time, which is true. The last time I knit him something, it said, Bernie, or like not me, us on it, and felted it. So he really hasn't had anything from me in a long time. So, and I thought I really want to wear something new that I've created and kind of show people that, again, it doesn't have to be red. People ask me that all the time. Like, what if I want to craft in purple because I'm not for either of the major? Yeah, please. What if I want to craft rainbow, Rainbow Coalition? Yeah, please. I'm not in charge. What if I want to craft in black for Black Lives Matter? Yes, please. Like, it's honestly, this is not meant to be a form of rigidity or anything else. So, just anyway. So the first thing that I really wanted to hear from you is just how was Yonkers, and like how was that trip long or?
No, I used to work in Dobbs Ferry. So to get to Dobbs Ferry from New York City, I would have to travel to Yonkers to get to Dobbs Ferry. So I don't know Yonkers well, but traveling there wasn't going to be difficult. And Scott was amazing. He went down. He said, "I'll drive down." I said, "Oh wow, thank you." He drove me down. Drove down, picked me up. Was there with his wife. I was there with his granddaughter, and they drove me to work as well, which is really cool. Yeah.
Did you have anybody give you either the thumbs up, the evil eye, the I wonder what the hell they're doing, posting up wanted posters? Did you get any looks or direct questions or?
Not people was reading for sure, which is really good. Everyone was reading. Yeah, everyone stopped, and I was very impressed by that. But the biggest pushback was I was from security. We was like near her office, posting near there. So that was really the biggest pushback, which was obvious. We knew that was going to happen. They don't want you to challenge authority in any structure, anything that signals the pleads into like paying attention. It was like, oh my God, we got to stop this guy. What are you posting up there? So so that was the biggest issue, but we wasn't surprised.
Did they shoo you away?
Oh yeah, for sure. They didn't want to leave. They was going to call the cops. For posting up a flyer, and they wanted us to actually clean up all the flyering that we did. I was like, no, we're not doing that. You can do that. We're not doing that.
No, we're not doing that.
No, that's the point. No. We just put flyers up. They're up for a reason.
Right. Which I told Scott too. I actually want to do billboards. Actually, I said that I think that'd be really cool. I think we should call out our politicians, use a billboard. It's not as expensive as I think it is, and I think we should do a campaign for it. So I got the idea from Misty. She did a campaign. She did a GoFundMe for Julian Assange, free Julian Assange, and she had it up for a couple of weeks. And then Scott did this for Andrea Cousins. So I was like, you know what? I think you guys are onto something. Put a pin in that. Write that down. I may do something in Jackson Heights against AOC.
Yeah, I think you can do billboards. Depends on the commercial real estate area that you're trying to do it, right? But billboards can be done for a couple grand,
right?
In the right places, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, that sounds that's exciting. And you guys got, I think he printed maybe the same number of flyers, like 100 flyers or something.
Yeah.
And you guys got them all put up.
Right. And we was near her house, so we went near just two homes. The closest one closest to her office. So we went to that one, and we flyed all in her neighborhood. So she's gonna know, or her neighbors are gonna know for sure that this is happening.
Yeah. Well done. Good job. Yeah. I think we need to see a lot more wanted posters up all over and billboards, all of it. It's public humiliation time. Because it's. And it's really funny, when people are like, why are you're pressuring the wrong politicians? There's no wrong politicians to pressure.
No.
We have different asks, different pressure points. There's the people that are blatantly blocking us, but I still argue that people that are pretending to be, not say pretending, but yeah, it said that they were standing for something, and then why aren't they out there with us? So every politician in doing so, I would be definitely in favor of hearing more about what your list of demands or what the wanted poster or billboard would say for AOC, because I definitely fall very much into the camp of everybody needs pressure. Everybody needs to feel uncomfortable and feel the pressure right now, because nobody's fighting for any of this stuff. It's us. Like, we're literally doing GoFundMes to pay for gas and travel expenses and the printing of flyers, because our emails, our texts, our tweets, our phone calls, our visits to their offices have yielded us nothing.
Right.
And now we're doing GoFundMes to raise, because we're out of pocket, all of us.
Right.
So, you know, anyone who is lecturing us about who to pressure and how to pressure, when we're actually like funding the political revolution out of our own pockets, and we're working class people who don't have this money. I don't know what to tell you.
Make your own movement.
Make your own movement. We really have attempted to be very, very civil. We're past that point. This year has been a point where, in every effort has been undermined or smeared that has challenged authority and challenged the establishment anyway, beginning with Force the Vote. Next came March for Medicare for All. Yeah, they've come after the Red Berets a couple of times, whole Washington. Anytime there is something that is challenging and willing to fight back against both corrupt parties, and that is led by the grassroots, that seems to be the common link, you know.
Go ahead, Lisa, I'm sorry.
Did the bill, did M4A even get out of committee, or is Neil still sitting on it?
He's still sitting on it.
Yeah, okay. So there you have it, right? And Richard Neal is what practice jersey color? Let's all remember who we're dealing with here.
Right.
He's blue. He's blue. I'm not even saying the word. I'm not even mentioning party names anymore. He's got a blue practice jersey on, and he buried the bill.
Right.
Period. The end.
Yeah.
So man.
What is your you still have, give us some updates that you have about events that you're still planning, Shareef.
So PNHP in New York, they want to do an action for around Martin Luther King birthday, which I'm really excited about. I have good relationships with them here in New York, which is really cool. And because Dr. King said the biggest injustice is our healthcare system. So which I totally agree with. So we want to do that. And then there's another action that I want to do. I want to go back to Pfizer. I think it's really important that just in general, us as activists, anytime we protest any politician or we have an action to raise awareness of any issue that's still going on, we should always go back to it. I don't think it's boring or a waste of time, so to speak, to go back to the same topic. So the March before we did an action at the Pfizer building. So the new action I want to do is do a 24-hour filibuster. So literally be a 24-hour filibuster. So it'll be 6 captains, 6 actions, and it would be 6 teams, basically. So it's 666. So basically, bad luck for Pfizer, basically. So the reason for the idea behind like a 24-hour filibusters by nature, they hurt the working class, and they're designed to give the illusion that they are trying to work on our interests, but they're really not. Filibusters by historically have been about slowing down any momentum, any left-leaning policy. So whatever it is, they'll have a filibuster in Congress for whatever bill, pick an issue. And then whether a politician, whether a Democrat or a Republican, will just wait and then put on this show, this performance that a filibuster is to hurt the left, right? So the idea is to do the same thing to the pharmaceutical company. And that's why I want to have it on April Fools, because it's nobody's fool. So the idea is a play on that, to say that we're paying attention, we're not a fool. Us on the left, we're always going to constantly pressure them. So I'm talking about it publicly because I personally don't think actions should be secretive. I definitely think people should participate in said action, and that's how I think you build momentum for them as well. I think that's why the march was successful, because we were very open about what we wanted to do. Yeah. So you have these. So think about 4. Each team would have 4 hours to create noise, be a disturbance. The idea is to make a huge disturbance. Every action that I organize coming in 2022, that's kind of like my bucket list for 2022, is to be very disruptive as possible, push that envelope, push that line between whether law enforcement is going to arrest us or not. I mentioned to a few other activists that the kid gloves need to come off for 2022 because it's just really egregious that we're still in a pandemic. They're saying we have this other variant coming along, and no sign of any relief is coming our way. So the idea is to really push as much as we can to be annoying because when we did the Pfizer action, the law enforcement wanted to know how long you're going to be here. They really was pressuring us like, okay, how long is this action going to be? Can I have a timetable? How long is this protest going to last? So that's another thing too.
When are we going to get health care?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So the idea is to be there as long as we can, actually, until they say, okay, well, you guys are really a problem, so let's arrest somebody. And so that's really the idea, is to really get Pfizer to say, okay, can we get these people off the street? Because they're really bothering us. And so that's why we want to do this 24-hour thing. And again, the 6 captains can decide to do anything in that 4-hour period. And I want to do 4 hours because you don't want to have fatigue. You don't want one person being there. Obviously, people need rest. People have families, people have kids, people have work. So I want to schedule different volunteers to be proactive for their time slot. I'm definitely going to be one of the people who are going to pick one of the graveyard shifts because I thought I thought it would be only fair if I do it. But yeah, it'll be anything you want to do, whether it be a marching band, you can bring noise, you can get speakers. No, I'm serious. I'm actually talking about maybe even getting a choir, someone to sing, anything, poetry readings, the whole shebang, anything you can think of.
I'm sure New York has all kinds of local neighborhood, drum corps. At least that used to be a thing. Find a drum corps, man. Find like 4 or 5 of them. That'd be amazing.
Right.
And that says what an awesome idea. Number one, because like you say, that the prolonged, like that long of a time is really gonna increase and build, like over the 24 hours, that becomes a story to that's more time for it to get followed and to get traction. But also just thinking about that really opens up, you can get 6 very, very different ideas. Think of the amount of creativity which you've both named off a couple of things. It's really kind of there can be 6 very big ideas, even quite a few ideas within each team. It's just really an opportunity for people to shine and just bring forth. And then kind of to notice also, not as a comparison of, oh yeah, that team didn't really get any, it's not like that. It's just kind of noticing, here's what happened. This team happened to do X, Y, and Z, and it got, and it would be both because, well, look, that was during peak hours, but you get a chance to kind of analyze, here's what really rocked, here's what yanked the chains of the establishment is when we did this. Oh, and also maybe it was because that was at peak time and this is when we got the most people tuning in. But it's a good, it seems like it would be something to track and learn a lot from. Actually. No,
absolutely. And to have fun with it too, because I'm curious what the 6 captains would do. I'm curious what the 6 teams would do. I'm different what the 6 actions would be like. So and they can share different ideas. So it's not like if someone has this one idea, another person can't take that idea.
Sure.
The whole plan is make as much noise during the 24 hours as possible. So that could be speeches, it could be poetry reading. You want to read a book. You definitely want to get our ideas to get on a loudspeaker. So whatever we do is heard in the community, and people get upset. Unfortunately, I was like, well, this is Pfizer. This is what they're doing to this country. This is what they're doing to the American people. Be mad at them.
Yeah.
It might be right on time. The 10K from 2021 might already have dropped. You can read from the earnings report how wonderful their earnings have been. That would be awesome.
Oh, so grotesque. That sounds really amazing, Shareef.
I have more because I've been thinking about since last July. I have wrote down different other things we can do. One of the other things I thought about doing was a sleepover. I think you and I, Laura, we talked about this too at the march. I definitely want to we heard of sit-ins before. It will be a sleepover. So unlike the 24-hour filibuster action, this will be an actual like camping out, tent, sleeping bag. Really making a big action. In fact, whether you choose to do home and office, it's up to the activists. The idea is to make this an event where each person who's doing this action, all the organizers, feel comfortable with where they're going to land at. If you feel more comfortable doing it in an office, sure, go do that. If you feel more comfortable doing it at the house, go do that. I'm not opposed to going back to Rich and Neil. We did an action at Rich and Neil's house, and we was literally there for hours in front of his doorstep. And law enforcement was there. They had 3 cop cars there. The only difference is that we didn't sleep on the floor. We were standing. That's the difference. But we wasn't there for 8 hours. We was there for maybe about 4 to 6 hours. So close enough.
Mm-hmm.
Close enough.
Yeah, but I was going to bring attention, right? I mean, just the fact that we're there, just the fact that we continue to do this. We've already done Nancy. You've done Richie. Schumer's up. Mm-hmm. He could use it. I mean, come on. He's the Senate Majority Leader, by the way. He came out requesting Biden extend the moratorium on student loan payments today.
Wow. And I'm interested in doing things that cross the line a little bit. And what I mean by that, I was talking to Scott, who was saying that we can't physically show up to Andrea Cousins' house and like deliver any like piece of literature about her. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to push that envelope. Letting her know, listen, this is what you're not only doing to your own community, this is what you're also doing to the country. Enact Medicare for all, for every New Yorker. So if that is something more or less like an offense, I'm willing to push that envelope, because again, we don't have anyone really doing that.
Yeah.
Hey, are you coming to the knitting circle, the crafting circle on Friday?
Just Friday? Unfortunately, I cannot make it. I'm working.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So this also too, speaking of which, I'm trying to be it's not really not my fault, but come 2022, I'm trying to make as many actions as I possibly can, more so than I did this year. And I did a lot, but my goal is to do more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and my personal goal is to support where I can, and definitely recognize the opportunity. Well, again, there's no guarantee that whole Washington moves forward with a vote to do an initiative. That's the hope. That's the trajectory.
Yeah.
But I am going to be personally organizing actions where it could stand to bring people out, get people's attention, and where I can do both things simultaneously, gather signatures, protest, whatever, do things that are pushing the envelope. But, I've committed to being a signature captain, and I'm definitely committed to recruitment because it's a numbers game and it's completely doable. But one thing's for sure is like, if I myself and, a few other dedicated people choose not to mobilize and direct people into getting the signature captains, then that becomes not a responsible vote as a board member, because you can only have so many times where you get people sort of hyped up for, hey, we're doing it this time. Like, I wouldn't personally vote for it if there isn't like the volunteer infrastructure in place. So, I think for me personally, here in Washington State, I can support actions that do challenge the establishment and that are creative. But I'm also going to be working really hard to see how can those sync up with getting signatures for whole Washington. So,
for your knitting, what do you guys specifically do for this particular action?
Well, we're building our artistic community. We're trying to get the word out to people. It's been something that, again, if if people knew about us, if more people, more crafters were doing that, then it wouldn't be the same sets of 6 or 8 hands that are knitting and crocheting all of the berets for the movement. There's something that's got to get this word out, and people start seeing these, and then we can, just like I had said previously, of course, that ship, just that hasn't really worked out, or our strategies haven't aligned. But my ideal hope was going to be that there's enough for everybody. There's enough to support all kinds of actions, and that we could grassroots fundraise with these, that we could get people sort of plugged into their communities. So if, for example, in Maine or in Massachusetts, I would like to find crafters that can plug in and support these actions and do local fundraising if they need to fundraise. It never was intended to only be for whole Washington.
Right.
And with my limited means, and Fran and Michelle de Villiers, Lori Jackson, the few people that we have actively crafting a lot for us, we sent berets, as you know, to Columbus, Ohio. I know there was somebody, a crafter that I'm not so much in touch with now, but who brought some berets to the Salt Lake City march. Wasn't very many. Again, they can be donated, but we've got to think also, because you're very much like planning these. We need people to be out front doing these actions that really, really make people uncomfortable and challenge the establishment, and put these politicians on public humiliation notice, and Pfizer and everything else. I also think that there's a way to reach people who, specifically the pussy hat crafters. Like, I want to know, I want these to be, everywhere. And I want people to feel empowered to raise money for mutual aid with them, to raise money for, if people want to go put up a billboard or a flyer, people could have, there can be a New York contingent of crafters who say, hey, did you know that Shareef Snuggs is getting people together on April Fool's Day, and he wants, and also we want to do a billboard and this and that. This stuff takes money.
Right.
I would love there to be enough crafters, but again, it doesn't have to be crafters. It could be people that, where did it go? Let me show you. This is somebody on on Twitter, just like,
awesome.
Smoking a cigarette.
Awesome. I love that.
What's my point? I mean, I don't know. Somebody can just do, a red beret doesn't have to be crafted, and but people can raise money with these. I never mandated that all of the grassroots fundraising potential of Red Berets had to be with whole Washington. We have tried to donate to different events, including March for Medicare for All, but it becomes like we have to grow the movement somehow. And it's the same way that, you want to grow the movement for where nobody's fool, April's Fool's Day. We need captains for that. We need them to have their whole team, and they need to be in touch and bring bands out, this could turn into a major, amazing event.
Well, it'll be like a rock concert.
What's that?
It's going to be like a 24-hour rock concert.
Exactly.
Right.
So, the fundamental thing is that we need to grow the movement. So, I guess that is, for Friday, I am hoping that it's, one of the things that happens with Red Berets, it happens on Twitter and it happens wherever we go, is we start getting very heavily into policy and action. And that part is important. But unfortunately, there's a disconnect. There's the thing that people do when they craft. It's therapeutic. It helps a lot of people with anxiety. I want to make sure that there's at least enough space in that time for people to share what it is that they're creating, and that it's not just 3 hours of everybody telling us, so now you're going to go do this direct. I want to make space for the artists, to be perfectly honest. And then I do want people to understand that they are empowered to, you do not have to donate your work to whole Washington or to a state effort per se. You can go and start crafting and raise money for April Fool's massive billboard. Let's, I've never mandated how we raise money with these. I mean, my stipulation is they're for solidarity. They're for healthcare justice, working at the city, local, state, and national level, and even international. But we only have so many hands, so I want to reach crafters. And I was down at my local yarn shop the other day talking to them about, like, how do I organize, or how do I become part of a yarn crawl? Because clearly, I think there's only so much that we can do on Twitter, is maybe not the place to reach everybody. But that was a very long answer for the simple question you asked, Shareef. I'm sorry. It's a really long answer.
Well, and the other thing too is that Laura and I have always talked about a 50-state strategy, and it doesn't even have to be, we've got one Twitter account for Pennsylvania. Like, I'd love a Philly, I'd love a Harrisburg. You can even take a community within a big city and make a Red Berets account for, a part of the city.
Right.
And the idea here is to bring people in and bring craftivism together, because it would be way easier to send Connecticut Red Berets up to Maine to help out than to, have to get people from across the country up there. And that's what we're doing right now, because that's where the organization is. That's where they're steeped in this, right? But we need to duplicate that. And duplicating that is starting with craftivism and letting them know what we're doing, and craft with us. We'll tell you how we got this off the ground. And it wasn't easy, but at least you can replicate, right?
No, right. I have an idea for you guys.
Yeah, what's that?
You guys should do a yarn barn.
A yarn barn? Oh, that's not, what's a yarn barn?
Yarn barn. So you take the yarn,
barn.
You maybe throw it over their house or their car. And then in the middle it says M4A. So when when the yarn just goes over their car, they see it. So they know why we know who did it.
Outside of it, let's yarn bomb Pfizer. That gives us enough time to craft something in advance. What was there there that we could throw something over the top of, or block their door with a big, I don't know what.
We'll get there.
We could probably put something in their main entrance. We could probably do that. Yeah, I think it's possible.
Yeah, but there's, like the Backbone campaign, they make all these neat things. And I thought another thing would be these big paper mache, and you can attach yarn and stuff, like making big puppets, or there's really all sorts of these things are, they're to bring out to it was very, very eye-catching in Seattle, what the Backbone campaign brought out to the March for Medicare for All in Seattle, So I think that this art definitely, the imagery is very powerful. And so I just hope we, how we build that movement as we continue to just get the artists and the crafters to bring their work out to these direct actions. Or if they're not able or comfortable out with that, get them connected up with people and say, hey, they're doing these actions in New York City. Do you have work that you're willing to donate to help them, raise some money, or put out visually to help bring that visual boldness, out for these actions, Yeah,
and mass care is going, and I mean, supposedly there are 19 states. I've seen 18. I've seen 19 where they have single payer efforts going on. We're gonna put together a consolidation of all of that, including the legislation, so that we can start digging in, really digging in. Joe loves to dig into that stuff, so do I. And then we're, we can sort of get ourselves to a place where we're helping facilitate if people need help, right?
Right.
The more of us that there are, the more chance that people are going to go, oh yeah, okay, those are the people that like to help with this healthcare stuff, right?
Right. Definitely true. I agree with that.
Yeah. Maybe I've got this funny echo going on still. Is there, that's so irritating. Yeah, I haven't really asked about anything, and I didn't want to place the show as like, because you said in a tweet, and I'm definitely not here for that. I'm not here to throw any shade at anybody. I'm just, I'm moving forward with actions, and but I do want to create the space if there's anything that you do want to say about why you've left organizing or why you're not on the steering committee for March for Medicare for All. And equally, if it's something that you would prefer to just keep talking about the things that you are working on, that's fine for me as well, because I honestly, I'm all about like moving forward, and I'm also not about deepening any rifts for my own part. I'm not talking about yours. You have the floor is what I'm saying, but there's also no, that's not how I really wanted to frame the show today. So it's like, but I also don't want it to be, it's kind of like you made the announcement on Twitter, and then I don't want it to seem like I'm not inviting you to share anything that you want to say, but there is no pressure to say anything either, so I'll leave you with that.
No, it's fair. I felt like it would be better to do it on a podcast, only because like I did have so many different people reach out to me to want to know what happened, and I was very in awe of so many people, either by text or email or by Twitter, who just wanted to know like why I left the March for Medicare for All. And to give a short answer, well, I'm giving you the long answer, but to give a short answer is because it got really too toxic for me. And it started after the end of the March in July. So we're talking about something that's been going on primarily since then. It started with it started to become a problem. I think most of us who've been following the March since the beginning knows what happened with we had the Rodenbach catfish situation, where we actually had like a group of like for lack of better words, stupid people who joined our Slack page, because our Slack page was open, and something I never disagreed with, and we had people who was able to request artwork and request different things that were in our movement that help us to do activism. And so because of which someone lied with one person or group of people, I really don't remember like so much of like the major details in regards to that, because I don't like dwell on negativity. But the individual had linked this neo-Nazi to the march and to an action that didn't even happen because we didn't approve of it, and had a speaker there. And so a lot of people believe that back then that we was actually doing a march, we was doing an action for this individual who had no relationship to us. And it will make sense why I'm talking about that too in a minute. And so that happened. And then another thing happened. We had members of CalCare hijacked the march in LA. And that will make sense to you as well why I'm bringing that up. And a lot of our members have been grossly affected by those two instances, by those two events. One with, members in our group doing that, doing something all really horrible, and then other members in our group also turning a national event into a state-led event. And then a lot of members.
Yeah, I'll push back on that like pretty well. That's fine, yeah. Because that's, I would never have come to be involved in the March for Medicare for All. You would have seen me out in the streets. You would have seen me attending one, because I believe we need national Medicare for all. And so you would have seen me out wherever there was one. There's no way that I would have brought my time, my personal donations, and asked others within the Red Beret Coalition, and reached out and asked coalition partners Whole Washington to also be a part of that. if I thought at any point that this was anything other than an everyone is welcome at the table, this is a solidarity event. So they
I'm gonna get to that point too. Because there's a lot to unpack here. So
Yeah.
those two things happen. And so what ultimately happened was a lot of our members got very security focused, extremely security focused. And not to say that I don't disagree with some of the security protocols and some security measures, because we don't want to rehash certain things, but also too, I'm very much an open book. I personally feel that the best way to do any form of activism is to invite the community and let people know there are going to always be bad payback. There's always been people who are going to do something really stupid, and that goes against your messaging. So with that being said, because of those two events that actually took place, a lot of our members took a negative turn, in my opinion. And they allowed those two events to dictate how they interact with other members in our group in a very negative way. I've actually had to deal with people who like had an issue of like the amount of times that I send out emails. For example, like I email other members that are not part of the March for Medicare for All, and they was very vocal about that because they wanted to keep it in-house, keep it very structured, keep it very sensitive. And I don't work that way. I just don't. You know, a lot of times I have an idea for an action, I have an idea for like how to just organize. I'll reach out to other people. That's just what I do. And like, I trust the people who I'm talking to. So like, for example, Laura, you know, Lisa, I love you both. You know, you guys have been great allies. So I just don't, you know, have an issue with like, hey, we have this idea. What do you guys think about this? You know, that's just how I work. You know, not everybody use our workspace. Not everyone feels comfortable using our workspace. And there is a learning curve for some of these tools.
I felt very comfortable in the learning space before allies that came along who are very adamantly anti-state organizing efforts.
Well, I'll get to that point.
I was not comfortable in the workspace.
I'll get to that point too. So another issue, dealing with Laura, where Laura had an issue with a lot of real progressive people. I'm going to just throw it out there and say it just like that, because a lot of real progressives, they do attack Laura on Twitter. I've seen it, and not just the Red Berets, but also other state-led people. And so she's an organizer. She's a coalition partner for the march. Real Progressives also a coalition partner for the march. They're actually butting heads, and we've never actually addressed that. That was never something that we at the march said, hey, Real Progressives, why are you doing this? You know, this is not right. We're coalition partners. We've never said that out loud. We've never addressed that. We've never paid attention. We felt like, well, that's their problem. And I think that's the wrong energy to have, even if we wanted to stay out of it and then they felt like it wasn't our business. I feel like that's something that I think that was really bad on our part. I think we should have handled that a little better. And it's things like that really made it an issue for me. I think for me, and I'll go into a little bit myself, but then I'll reel it back in to other organizers and how they was working, how they was talking to each other. This is all new for me. Like I'm new to organizing and activism, and I never felt like I needed to come in and like speak up for other people. You know, I did address some of this to some of the organizers, and you know, we never really like said, hey, you know, for example, like Laura had an issue with the Real Progressives, and like we never like addressed that and said that that's not cool, or like we shouldn't like organize that way. If we're going to be coalition partners, we're going to organize a march, we're going to be very active. Let's put some perspective here and let's work together on that. And I was bad on that. I feel like I take some responsibility for some of that. A lot of organizers and activists, when I left the march, told me that I shouldn't, because I did talk to some people who knows me a little bit more personally, and they said, well, that's not your responsibility. They said that that's something that ultimately, you know, Real Progressives and any other organizer just in general, if you have a beef with someone, they should just bring that up and it should be squashed, obviously, just to not to mince words about it. But at the same time, I do feel like how people are comfortable does matter to me, because I don't want people to not want to work with us or not want to work with me because I don't care about how they're feeling about how someone else is working with them.
Well, it's also when it became, when the transition happened, when it became a coalition versus right after the marches, when it became an in-house thing where there was a steering committee, an official steering committee, which there was not prior to that. So,
no, I wasn't. Right.
you know, and that is not something that, to my knowledge, I am not aware, as a coalition partner, having been informed, here's how we're going to elect a board or a steering committee, so that we can determine the direction of the march moving forward. You know, and so again, not to be
well, also too, like I didn't
hard
have
on it, but you know,
also too, I didn't have so much an issue with that. My issue was mainly due to the fact of how people communicate with each other, right? My issue is how you talk to someone, how you interact with someone is more my beef than anything else. Like, I understand your point, but my point is communication, right? There's a way to how to work with organizers, a way to how to work with people, and we're not being very cognitive of that. And that's why I said that is getting a little toxic for me, because I personally just do not like how people are messaging to each other, not just on text, but on DM, email. Like, that to me became an issue. I just do not, and I don't feel like I need to tone police people, because I don't do that. So if you don't know how to communicate with someone, if you don't know how to talk to people, I'm not going to tell you, hey, that's wrong. I'm just not going to work with you. I'm just not going to do it. I just feel that if you worked in a way where that's something that's better for you, I'm just going to just not, I'm not going to address you. So we had a recent issue, and I'll go back a little bit too, but what made me want to leave as a whole was like one of our organizers who cried twice because how people talk to her. And she's an older woman, old enough to be my grandmother. She was like one of the few people that, you know, I get a lot of like resource from and information from. I'm big on I always tell people that when an elder passes on, a library is passing on too, because of wealth of knowledge and information and you know, and the life experience that they actually have. I wanted to address the issues that we actually had in our group about this one particular member and how we communicated with this person. Keep in mind, this person, old enough to be my great grandmother, doesn't know how to use technology very well. And there's been issues over how we talk to her and how we communicate with her, being the fact of her woman of her age. And it's ages, in my personal feeling, how we was communicating with her, even though some of the members felt like that wasn't true. And I said, it solely is true. I just felt like we need to be a little bit more sensitive, and we need to be more caring to our older generation. You know, I just feel that this idea that respect needs to come one way is ridiculous. I think it needs to come both ways. There's so much to unpack. I don't know how much time we're going to have to get into the weeds with this, but there are things like that turn me off, actually. And so like, I can't in good conscience like want to work with people who think they can just be disrespectful to someone of that generation. So
I just want to interject here because I want us to be cognizant. We've got 5 minutes because we've got a hard stop, I guess. But, you know, 2 things I want to say. We have to value one another, no matter where we're at, what we bring to the table. And lacking that respect and valuing of the individual, it's disingenuous. And you should not take on the responsibility of feeling guilty about how others treated each other, as long as you were there fighting for what was right.
Right.
And I just mean that from my heart, because I know that there have been times where disagreements come up among the closest of us. And as long as you have that respect and you can talk to each other, we work through it. Laura and I have worked through stuff, little stuff
Right.
that lasts 10 minutes, right?
Right.
But, there's big stuff that comes up too. And if you can't address that, are you genuine?
Right. 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 I even had, like I said, like it goes, like I said, it goes deeper than just like, obviously just the way people communicate. I just think that is just also just not respecting the fact that other people are also putting time and energy into this. And so that's just my issue as a whole. Like some of the stuff other members know, some stuff other members don't know. And I think that's also part of the problem. I think we kind of probably got too big too fast because there's so much learning curve that we actually had in the group where we're not stopping and saying, hey, how am I communicating here? How am I helping other organizers or other people who want to be involved? And, again, like I said, I know that a lot of people told me not to take so much of that, but, it didn't fit right in my spirit. Not to get all religious here, but it didn't fit right with me to, one, tell people how they should be communicating and talking to people, and B, like physically being in a group where we don't know that speaking to someone of that group, of that age group, isn't appropriate, right? I've communicated with that. I communicated with like 2 people about that, and I got pushback. And I just felt like, well, this is not something I feel comfortable with. So I just feel like, I just need to be somewhere where that for me, other members makes sense for them. Like, I don't have to explain that. You already know that, right? So that's something that you're not even thinking about. You know that talking to a woman in that age group, right? She's not your equal, right? She's only going to be your great grandmother. Don't talk to her that way. So that just makes sense. So,
Laura, we've got 2 minutes, babe.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just want to say, for the record, I'm always looking for how time and concerted effort can heal rifts. And one thing that I can assure people is that even if there's disagreements with from my own perspective about strategy, I will be out locally supporting our local march. Whenever that happens, people can take things into their hands and contribute locally the best way that they can. We're not part of the steering committee, and that's all fine. What I would say is I don't need to be a member of the steering committee. What I would recommend to the march is that when it comes down to coalition partners, things like partners that support a multi-pronged approach, that be weighed in terms of if you reached out to this coalition partner, all of the coalition partners, where do they fall on this issue? And the balance and the total makeup of the steering committee should not include, for example, 10. I don't know how many are on the steering committee. It should not include 8 or 9 people who are solidly against state single payer, if in fact it turned out that 60 or 70% of the coalition partners favor a solidarity multi-pronged approach, working for both state efforts and simultaneous national. That's my own opinion, that the steering committee should reflect the makeup of the coalition partners. But I'm here to continue working the best way that I can. None of us are perfect. I am not perfect. Shareef is not perfect. The people on the steering committee are not perfect. None of us are. This is a learning curve. The March for Medicare, I still hold that the day, what happened on the 24th of July of this year was nothing short of a miraculous, amazing event. And nothing could happen that would ever get me to say anything other than what an amazing.
It was.
No, agree. Totally agree.
It was.
Totally.
And we're going to be there next year. With
Yeah, and
bells on.
I'm still gonna promote any action, any event, anybody who is pushing for a national single payer healthcare system. I'm always gonna push for that. So
Sure.
I have no qualms about amplifying or pushing or helping any group or anybody who wants to do that. I just don't. I just really don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all about. So
Yeah.
Shane's told us 1 minute, like 30 seconds ago, Laura.
Yeah. Any closing words, Shareef? And thank you for, it seems fair, everything that you've said. And anything you want to add before we close out today?
No, I just hope that this new chapter that I have with activism, I just hope that I continue to grow and learn, and I have more people that want to continue being in community with me. And I've already had like so many different people reach out to me already, saying that we're with you, and I said I honor that. I really appreciate that. That's really amazing. I thought it was gonna be the opposite effect from people. I didn't. I got more people coming out in support, saying they want to continue being in community with me. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, definitely keep us in the loop, and we look forward to hearing much more about. I know you'll be doing things leading up to the April 1st. That's off in the future, but we certainly. Yeah. So reach out anytime. Let us know what we can help amplify, what we can do to help get the word out on your actions. Thanks so much.
Yeah. And I don't often answer your emails, Shareef, but it's only because I'm a little too busy. I'm about to get less busy. I promise.
It is a lot of meetings. There's a lot happening. That's
There's a ton going on.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can only imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna stay busy on the right stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So thanks everybody for being here.
Yeah. Thank you, Shareef.
Absolutely. Love you guys.
All right. Love you too. All right.
Talk to you soon. We've got Washington, whole Washington team captain meeting, intake meeting.
Yes, we do.
Come join us. Come be a team captain. Come find out about it.
I love that.
All right, guys.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Love you.
Bye.